Welcome everybody for today's Company Fears 3cast. This time it's a replay Hachald provided, and he's playing the Wehrmacht, and he plays against Saevo, playing as the US forces. I was told that we will see some off-meta gameplay against some meta gameplay, and we also are about to see some easy aids. So most likely I think the meta gameplay will be on the side of the US forces in this match. But with that, let's give it a try. And let's deactivate the fog of war. So, awesome, the first thing we see is the good sportsmanship over here, that is very nice. And Hachald, playing as the Wehrmacht, is going for T1 as well as a Kettenkrad. That's interesting to see. Ooh, okay. It's not actually that uncommon to see that US forces players are going for the Willis Jeep, but for me it's a little bit uncommon to see that Hachald's going for the Kettenkrad. So I would like to point out that I usually don't go for either of these units on this map. I'm still not sure whether that's a good idea, but I don't like to use T1 vehicles on this map because of all these nooks cranes, these corners where ambushes can be prepared on. I think that is always a huge threat for Willis Jeep, for instance, because let's say it's over here and there's a Gwen coming up, snare the Willis Jeep, some other units come in and dive it, and it's dead. I don't think that this is a map where we would like to play these early vehicles on. Even more interesting to see that both players are about to use these guys. Let me see, the Kettenkrad is already doing an awesome job capping the map. Our one drawback of the Kettenkrad over here is that it can't deploy sandbags over here. I think that's very important at this position. Now it is facing some scouts. And it's insta retreating, that is good. The Willis Jeep in the meantime is engaging over here. Ooh, however, that is a very greedy engagement. I always would recommend to get close, not always, but in the early game, most of the times, I would recommend to get close with your Willis Jeeps or Dingoes or whatever you're using. Because most of the time you are having some repair capabilities, and you don't even care for the damage that's still to your vehicle. You just would like to focus on the highest possible damage output of your light vehicles to enemy infantry, so that he is having a manpower disadvantage, or you're not having that. Alright, so now the Willis Jeep is on the hunt for the Kettenkrad. It's followed by some civilians. Ooh, these guys are very fast. Like around 30 miles per hour or so. So what I noticed over here is that the engineer squad was over here. I personally would have engaged this rifleman squad. On the other hand, now I see that Hachald is making use of the garrison over here, and with that he most likely will win the engagement against the second rifleman squad. So after all, a good choice, because he won both engagements so far. Very nice. By the way, the Kettenkrad survived. Willis Jeep is a little bit confused. Where is it now? Well, let me just cap the 5 times fuel point. Alright, and in the meantime, Hachald is going for a second MG. That's also an interesting decision, for me at least, because usually on this map I don't like to play too many stationary weapons, too many support weapons, stuff like that, because due to all these corners and different engagement paths, it's always quite easy for the enemy to flank your support weapons, and that is that can be it's happening at this very moment. Nice. Right, so the Willis Jeep is now flanking this MG. MG can't fire back, but the Willis Jeep is also not firing. What is happening? Oh, nice. There we go. And I think these units should retreat, even though, yeah, the second MG from Hachald is engaging as well, so that's why he waited a little bit longer, I think so. Well played. Was that intentional? Was it a godlike move from Hachald to wait a little bit over here to taunt his enemy to do this engagement a little bit more aggressively, so that this MG can pin down 2 squads for free? didn't actually work, but maybe that was the intention. It would have been a great intention, actually. Nice. Anyway, I don't like to play these support weapons on this map because of all these corners. And the ability of the enemy to flank it, especially when they're playing the US forces. Spam you down with infantry. Yeah, okay, that was a little bit a mistake, but it just happened to the heat of the moment. Most likely these engagements were a little bit exhausting for both players, so maybe now they need to relax a little bit, right? Let's see what's happening. Interestingly though, the scout squad at the moment is engaging over here instead of over here. Most likely it's going for the 16 times viewpoint. No. Alright. Some misclicks were being done. Oh yeah, Hachald also fears that. He tried to dodge the nade, but he failed to click on the correct squad. And with that failed to dodge the nade and yeah, just needed to retreat both squads. Not too bad actually. Because the map control is, yeah, not too bad for the Wehrmacht at the moment. Okay, the scouts won't decap that 16 times through. That is very good. Because, yeah, nice. Because the Wehrmacht is going for the tier 2 and some Jägers, and these guys need 90 ammunitions to be upgraded with Shreks. Was 90 ammunitions? I think so, right? Yeah. However, this MG position over here is a little bit difficult now, because I mean, his intention was to hunt these scouts. I paid a little bit too much attention for these scouts because they are very, very weak in fighting, and now kept 2 MGs busy, so close to 500 manpower was very idle for maybe a minute or so. So these scouts were having a great impact. Good choice to not cap over here with the scouts. But I don't think that was the intention initially. Alright, so Jägers just arrived. Indeed, 90 pieces of ammunition are required to upgrade them with Shreks. Yeah, and I think that's an interesting choice. I mean, the intention of Hachald, I think, is quite obvious. So he went for double MGs and double Grants, 1 engineer and a Kettengrad. So these double MGs are providing a lot of anti-infantry firepower. So most likely you thought, okay, I need anti-tank, so let's go for Jägers and upgrade them with Shreks. That will be my anti-tank. On the other hand, since these guys are now complete shit against infantry, he thought, oh, okay, maybe relying on these machine guns will do the job against the infantry. So I'm prepared for pretty much everything, despite from the bars that just shredded the Kettengrad. Yeah, however, I think that was the intention. WMG versus infantry, backed up with some grenadiers to reinforce units that need help. Also get some capping power with the Kettengrad and all this stuff. Anti-tank firepower with Jäger through Shreks. Pretty rounded up army composition. I think that is it's off meta at the moment. You have to point that out, because usually people would go for the tier 3 instantly on this map, because these thank god these guys didn't die. Yeah, because Panzer Grenadiers on this map are awesome. Panzer Grenadiers are even awesome on more open maps, because they overperform at the moment, especially backed up with the also overperforming Stuck. But on this map, the Panzer Grenadiers are super strong. Still, they are strong against infantry on this map. And you then need the Stucks because they are a little bit more mobile, and this is very important. Mobility is very important on this map, I guess, because of all these nooks and crannies. It's a little bit more. It's not quite an open map, but it's a map where you need to move a lot to readjust your stationary support weapons a lot. So Stucks are very good in that, because they are just mobile in comparison to an anti-tank gun, for instance. So Panzer Grenadiers with a Stuck could be an option. On the other hand, when you go for the T2, then certainly you need the Shreks. Yeah, because that is a very good mobile option to fight tanks. At the same time, I think one of the weak spots of Hachald's army composition at the moment is, or in the future will be, that, yeah, MGs, that's the thing, MGs and support weapons generally on this map are a little bit clunky to use and can be surrounded or outflanked pretty easily. So that could be an issue for Hachald soon. Oh, he could cap this 3-point while fighting. Anyway, another thing that I would like to point out, let's pause a little bit for that piece of information real quick. So, now we analyzed a little bit what Hachald was going for. So 2 Jägers, that is a viable option. Most likely you should try to back these things up with a little bit more anti-infantry firepower. So that was most likely why he went for the Achtrad. Maybe he will even go for a second Achtrad. It would be a current Wehrmacht meter. And then maybe if he is playing full meter, then he will afterwards go for a skip of the T4 and instead call in the Panther to save the resources, reinvest them in an additional Achtrad and in 2 Panthers, stuff like that. I would say that this meta play would be a mistake on this map, especially because he went for the Jägers with Shreks now, because he's already having anti-tank capabilities and he's already having a lack of anti-infantry firepower, so maybe that would be a bad choice to go for Panthers now. However, most Wehrmacht players do that at the moment, because they're just following the meta. I would call it the Umiran Bra meta, because he's doing it in every single game. But let's see what Hachald will do in the future. I mean, he already went for a little bit an off-meta move with these Jägers with Shreks, even though it's a good decision on this map. It can be a good decision if he backs that up properly with some more anti-infantry power. So, that's for the Wehrmacht. Now let's go for the US forces. So, I think the US forces build so far is pretty sturdy. I mean, he... let's switch for the US forces real quick. So, he went for the tier 3. It's minute 10.5 so far. That is not the earliest possible timing, but it's fine. Why is it a little bit delayed? It's because he went for the Brownings, the bars, and the grenades for his riflemen. I think that is a very, very smart decision. However, since he went for these upgrades, both of these upgrades, I maybe would recommend to go for another rifleman squad. Soon, maybe, but maybe sooner, but later, because I think then he is making most use of the infantry support center as well as the bars upgrades and grenade upgrade for his riflemen. Now one would say, but the Wehrmacht is going for Achtrads and MGs, so riflemen are a pretty bad choice to repair these units. But I don't share this opinion, because I think riflemen are since they are able to snare, they are, especially on this map, they are able to deal effectively with the Achtrads, because there are so many positions on this map where you can set up traps for light vehicles, as I pointed out earlier, for the T1 vehicles, for instance. It can be pretty easy to outmaneuver an Achtrad and just snare it with some anti-tank grenades, with a rifleman, of course. I think it needs 4 anti-tank grenades to kill an Achtrad, but also the bars are dealing a little bit of damage against Achtrad, so I think a 4th rifleman would be a good option. Saevo now goes for the Chaffee. That is, of course, also a possibility. It's a little bit less risky to instead of going for 4 riflemen. That can be a risk, but it can be a high rewarded risk. The Chaffee now is a more conservative choice, and I think it's fine. But on the other hand, unfortunately, I think, since you already noticed that the Wehrmacht player is going for Jägers, they're over here. No, wait, where are they? They used to be over here, so Saevo already noticed that Hachald is going for Jägers. And this is why I don't think that it's a good idea to go for the Chaffee, because Chaffees, I mean, it's most meta play for the US forces at the moment. went for the infantry support center and the armored battle group. Now he will squeeze out 2 or 3 light medium vehicles with a motor pool, and then skip the T4 and rush for the easy 8. The resources he's saving due to the T4 tech that he's not doing. He can reinvest these resources into these vehicles now. Maybe also a Scott could be an option, but he's not going for the Scott at the moment. That's fine. Yeah, so why is it a mistake? Because of the Jägers with Rex. Because the Jägers with Rex easily counter Chaffees on this map. Yeah, because of all the nukes and crannies, as I always try to point out. Anyway, let's go ahead after this analysis. So I think it's an interesting choice by the Wehrmacht. And a less interesting choice for the US Force, and maybe even a bad choice for the US Force to perform the build that they are doing. I mean, now, I already tried to point out that the riflemen with bars are a good idea to go for, especially against a Jägers build, but also against tier 3 builds for the Wehrmacht. I think against the Wehrmacht it's always very important to go for bars first, because the Wehrmacht usually is lacking a little bit of light medium vehicle firepower in the early and mid game, but they are having access to very strong infantry, because the Panzer Grenadiers, for instance, are super strong. Also Jägers with G43s are super powerful. So I think you need to rush for the bars. So that was well played by Saevo. However, I think so that was the good part. Chaffee was the bad part, even though now the Chaffee is killing the Hachald. So yeah, but that was maybe a little bit a misplay of Hachald. Alright, so even though I would say it's a mistake to go for the Chaffee, now it turned out to be very useful, and he is also making a great use of the garrisons over here. Both players, by the way, are making use of garrisons properly. That is very nice to see. Harald earlier over here, Saevo now over here. It's great. Still, I am curious when the Chaffee build will turn out to be a bad decision. I'm curious. So, double Jägers. These guys, they also get Shreks. Okay, that is an interesting decision. I think I would have been going for a second Shrek, since Hachald lost his Achtrad and he is at the moment lacking some infantry firepower, anti-infantry firepower. And since you already noticed that that Saevo is just going for the tier 3 and Chaffies, maybe I think double Shrek at this very moment is a little bit too much. Because what are you supposed to counter at this very moment? The Chaffee? But the Chaffee is not dealing any infantry damage. By the way, spots like these, over here, over here, over here, over here, over here, over here, are very renowned for planting mines. But maybe Harald's going for Harald went for the Kettengrad instead of double engineer, so he's not having too much access to mine planting capabilities. Are all these expressions correct, by the way? I don't know. Do we have any native speakers over here that could help me out? Anyway, MGs are still doing a great job. By the way, I noticed that Hachald is mainly using his MGs on the southern area of the map as well in the center of the map, and that is something I also try to do most of the times on this map. I feel like MGs are very weak here, over here. At least when you engage at the southern player, but also for the northern player. They feel way stronger on this side of the map, even though it's not too different actually. But nice to see that Harald feels the same way as I do. Alright, so by the way, I completely missed to point out that the Chaffee nearly died to the Jägers with Shreks earlier. So, anyway, army composition for the Wehrmacht is pretty sturdy at the moment. What's he going for next? Ah, awesome. Thank you so much. He's going for the T4. And that is balm for my soul at the moment, because usually most of the, as I already pointed out, most of the Wehrmacht players are just playing the Wehrmacht meta, and that is, in my opinion, a very weak meta actually. Because they're just always skipping the T4 and rush for Panthers, and that is so easy to counter, especially at the US forces, because then you just build more and more riflemen and rely on infantry firepower, and the Wehrmacht player can't do anything against that, because the Panthers just suck ass against infantry. Yeah. By the way, I already bet Human Brown when he was playing this meta strat, so I think it's a very bad idea to go for this strat. Yeah. And even better to see that Hachald is adapting it, building the T4, and most likely some Panther Force as well. That is I think that is now turned out to be a very good decision, because earlier I wondered that he upgrading the second Jäger squad with Shreks, and actually that turns out to be okay now, because Panther. I mean, Hachald most likely already noticed that the US Forces player is going for full US Forces meta. So he can set his clock to the moment when the Easy 8 will hit the field. And for that he obviously needs some anti-tank firepower. He's making use of Jäger with Shreks for that. That is fine on this map. But this is at the same time causing some lacks of anti-infantry firepower for him, and he is trying to I'm lacking the expression, sorry. He's trying to yeah, how can I create a workaround for this expression, I don't know. He's trying to relieve that, let's say, with Panzer Force. The Panther Force will serve for the anti-infantry firepower, that's awesome. Also a Broombear could be a nice choice on this map, because look at that. I think it's due to the map that both players sometimes are forming minor blobs. And a Broombear could be awesome to kill these. What's happening over here? Oh, they are retreating just in time. Panzer IV, nice. By the way, we still don't see any mines of both players. Are they? Hachald's having enough munition. Ooh, and Saevo is even floating munition. Oh, look at that. Yeah. So let's stick with this. Ooh, could it be a squad wipe, please? Let's do it. No, don't disengage. Oh, alright, okay, they're coming away. I feel like it could have been GG with this squad wipe over here. Because then the route of power for the US forces would have been cut a little bit. Yeah, because they at the moment are just only relying on infantry that is very strong. But Hachald is having a Panzer IV that is just harvesting the infantry for some manpower losses. Alright, so double Chaffee, by the way, yeah? So we see indeed that is weapon support center. What could it build the weapon support center for at this moment? Wait a second.
We've taken them down to 300 points, Commander.
What's this mission? An MG. Alright. Okay, that's a lot of resource investment for just getting an MG. I think his intention was I need more command points. And maybe he felt like I don't need more riflemen, even though I think should just have been going for a 4th rifleman. Instead he decided to go for the tier 2 and an MG to gather some command points, as he just did. But I think it's still a bad decision, because most likely he will just build this T2 for having 1 MG maybe. So this is basically a MG that costs 390 manpower and 15 fuel. Or 10 fuel? Don't remember. So pretty expensive MG. What? Panzer 4 for the US forces? Oh, okay, interesting bug. Hachald is going for the 2nd Panzer 4. I like that so much! No brain AFK Panther calling spam. Yeah, that's good. Both players are refusing to go for the squad wipes all the time. That is a pretty defensive, or let's say pretty... Woo, okay. This Chaffee is pretty dead. Nice ambush. They most likely were cloaked. I didn't see that, but I think so. Awesome trap. So one Chaffee is dead. Yeah, we just saw the meter to go for the Chaffies is no good idea if the Wehrmacht player is going for Jäger with Shreks. I also would say that going for this meta adaptation for the US forces, to go for the Chaffies in T3, I think is more useful against the DAK, but rather against the Wehrmacht. I think against Wehrmacht players maybe should, especially on this map, maybe should rather go for the M8 Scott. I think that would be the better choice. And for anti-tank guns, even though I don't like, as I said, the support weapons on this map, but I think the US force need the anti-tank guns because look, all his anti-tank firepower now is based on vehicles. Yeah? So just I mean the Sherman EZ8 can be considered as being an anti-tank unit, even though it's also an anti-infantry unit. The Chaffee, of course, is an anti-tank unit, and that's everything Saevo at the moment is having against vehicles. So do you see the one-sided army composition? So everything the Wehrmacht now needs to do is to counter these vehicles, for instance, using maybe an anti-tank gun or so, or Jägers with Shreks, even though these guys die now. Yeah, because these units won't deal too much damage against infantry-based anti-armor. Of course, the EZ8 does, but yeah, I think still get the point, right? So always try to mix up your army composition a little bit better. So always try to focus on things like, am I having proper appropriate on a let's say proper anti-inf or anti-tank firepower that is based on different things, not just armor based or not just inf based, stuff like that. What the hell is happening over here?
We have lost the sector.
Alright. Hachald decided to replace his Jägers. Oh, and he's upgrading them with more Shreks. Yeah, since he's having 2 Panzer IVs, he certainly can do that. Even though I would... no, he can't go for an anti-tank gun. since he's not having access to tier 3. Yeah, right, so... Ah, oh, awesome, okay. Oh, okay, so we just saw Hachald making use of a mine over here. I think I pointed out earlier that I am missing the mines over here, over here, over here, over here. Maybe over here. Ah, but now the US Force is also planting some mines, defensive mines. That's very good. But a little bit too late. I mean, it's minute 24 already. By the way, Saevo is floating tons of munition. He should try to plant some more mines. Mines win games, as we just saw over here. I think the Chaffee mainly died by that mine, right? Could have survived the Jägers with Rex when there would have been the damaged engine. Alright. But by the way, what we can see in this match that's very interesting is Hachald's usage of the Jägers with Rex. He's mainly trying to position them somewhere, set up the cloaking, then wait for enemy armor to engage, to just squeeze out some Shrek shots.
We shall reinforce all spots that require it.
Yeah, that's not bad. By the way, did you notice the I think Saevo noticed that that this is Hachald's mission, using these Jägers Kamut up in craters like over here, Oh, sorry. And this is why he may be just applied the captain's mortar barrage on these points to force these Jägers to move. Oh, but now he's messing up his engagements a little bit. Interesting. So he seems to be distracted somehow. I mean, okay, now with the easy 8 he most likely will kill this MG, but that was an unnecessary pin over there. Oh, okay. Alright. Turned out to be fine. Okay, that's a Panther for the Wehrmacht now. I think the Panther is a good choice because we see 2 easy 8s and these guys... Yeah, they are having a bad time against the Panther, even though they are not so underwhelming against these. But at the same time, Panzer IVs are also not... I mean, the Easy 8 is certainly superior to a Panzer IV, but not much. Not too much. quite a little bit, but not too much, let's say. So maybe could also have been an option to go for a third Panzer IV against the US forces. Maybe. I mean, he is also having access to 2 Jägers with Shrek, so I think with 3 Panzer IIIs, the anti-Easy 8 firepower also would have been enough. Oh, these guys are... What? Well played. Okay, so I think I would rather have been going for another Panther, to be honest. For another Panzer IV instead of the Panther. Yeah, because I think since he's having 2 Jägers with Shreks and the Panzer IVs are always also able to deal some anti-tank firepower, and Hachald certainly needs more stuff to fight into. Is the game... Okay, I thought the game just froze because both players were just making up plans. Yeah, I think a Panzer IV would have been a better choice, but still the Panther, of course, is also... Ooh, now that is the engagement we all waited for. Ooh. Mine, awesome. Hachald is having access to the Syrian artillery barrage. Ooh. please, and you're also having enough. Yeah, oh, please use it, please use it. Yes. Come on. Where is it? Barrage over here. Like, a few seconds ago would have been awesome. Ooh, this easy extent. Panther 4 is also there. Oh, that's a lot of scrap. I think that's the serious barrage. Way too late in the heat of the moment. It doesn't even kill anything. Ooh, okay. Even though it was a little bit late, it was quite unlike for Hachald that it didn't kill anything. I think the mortar could have been dead, the Easy 8 also could have been dead, and the two... Wait, saying two? I think these were two engineer squads, right? Could also have died over here, but it was a little bit unlucky. Just imagine these craters to be turned by 90 degrees like that. Everything would have been dead. Yeah, that's the good old company feel strategy. That is what we like the game for. Oh, by the way, earlier I mentioned that I was missing the second engineer squad to build up some sandbags over here. Same applies for these positions. And I think Hachald should have used that, used the grenadiers to do so. The grenadiers are not as shitty as some people consider them to be, because they can set up sandbags, they can set up fighting positions, they can heal up, one sweated, there it is, medkit. They can snare, they can throw grenades, they can set up wire, they can merge. So these guys are essentially maybe better conscripts? Ooh, let's see a nice snare now. Yeah, that is... no snare. There's the snare. Awesome. I think this is the ace. Will also die. Two Jägers now. Oh, they are not engaging. Oh, okay. I think the Jäger should have tried to engage. I think the Easy was slowed down enough to get the kill. Awesome damage by the Jägers and Frags. Yeah. So, by the way, I think this match is teaching us that the Jägers with Frags are a good way to counter the US forces meta this very map. But I don't think that this applies to all maps, because most of the other maps are way more open than this one. And the Jägers certainly yeah, get shredded by Easy 8s on open maps. Oh, unfortunate. That could have been a damage engine. And the Panther is about to come in. Ah, could have been a kill. Wasn't, however. Ooh. That's the repair blob. The repair blob. Uncle Sam sent them himself to repair this very piece of cheese, actually. Look at all these holes. But no hole obviously is too big to just use a nice arc wielder to close them. For me it looks like all these holes are still inside of the hull, but I am no engineer, so who am I to judge whether these repairs are useful or not? Yeah, that's a Vet 3 easier, but the US Forces player at the moment is messing up Hol's engagements, actually. Why is it doing so? Is it just losing track of the match? Or what? So, what I mean is that the US Forces player is mainly engaging with his infantry exclusively or with his armor exclusively, and I think that is a mistake, because you always should try to back up your infantry with their tanks and vice versa. Ooh, these Jägers are very... They used to be very prone to tank fire, because this building is just about to collapse, as well as this building is. Oh, all these buildings are nearly dead. Ooh, let that be a wipe, please. Oh no, he's just chatting with his Panther. No, the Panther force is also coming. Oh, no wipe. Oh. I think the US forces were pretty lucky several times already in this match. Searing artillery barrage over here. That's the second retreat already that is
Victory point is under enemy control.
that went very lucky for the US forces. Yeah. By the way, now we notice that Hachald is just parking in some G over here, and I think that's okay. It's okay to do so for the late, mid, and late game. In earlier stage of the game, I think it should be you should focus on playing these Gs very aggressively, very mobile. So just engage with your MGs always back to your main if you're doing an engagement. Ooh, the Panther could die. No. Look at that. That's the very same mistake again. So the US force player engaged using his tanks first. Bounce. And then his rifleman started engaging. Now the tanks are away or repelled. And now his mainline infantry is fighting without tank backup. So I think this engagement would have been way more efficient if he just timed this a little bit better. Alright, is there much of this engagement? No. Alright, that's the GG. GG, well played. What a game, that was nice to see. I think maybe sometimes I should try to focus a little bit less on good gameplay or mistakes that have been done. But I think it was a lot of fun to see what both players were doing. Interesting to see the Jäger with Shrek's build on this map. Yeah, certainly something you could recommend. Maybe despite from the Panther, I'm not sure about that. Still, great game. GG, both players played so well. And with that, let's have a good time. See you guys.